Gonna just jump right in and get started.
Do
Um,
it.
Thank you all so much for your patience. But we are here now and we are rocking and rolling.
Are we
So
recording?
David, you have been in the voice acting industry for a long time, and
Oh,
have voiced so many incredible characters. How have you noticed the dubbing industry change over the last 15 or 20 years?
it might as well be a whole different animal now. I mean, so much has changed. Um, when I started, it was kind of just a sort of family affair, a sort of mom and pop organizations, and of course, Funimation at the time had already had great success with Dragon Ball, so they were already sort of skyrocketing, and back then ADV and like it was just such a different thing, and uh budgets have increased, viewership has increased, the advent of streaming changed everything, and then the simuldub changed everything again, um and then big companies acquiring these dubbing studios. It's I mean, it's been like watching a like it's like watching a baby go from infancy to college.
Mhm, yeah, that makes sense.
It's a lot like that.
Yes.
I mean, it's a completely different universe than it was 20 or so years ago when I got involved. I don't think there's anything that's not different, really.
Mhm.
That's fair.
How's
Yeah.
that for a catch-all answer to your
No,
question?
that's great. And it's interesting too because in that amount of time, anime has also become way more mainstream. Back when
Yeah,
Dragon Ball was first airing, it was kind of unheard of for there to be so many anime fans, whereas now it's
yeah,
everywhere. It's at Comic-Con, it's at, all of these big conventions. And so
yeah.
how does it feel for you who's been in this industry, to see how big it's become?
Well, it's really gratifying to see that the storytelling, the sort of stylistic storytelling in anime is really starting to catch on.
Mhm.
And where I think like you really see that in two things, and I can't remember where I saw it as per my first example, but one is it starts getting mentioned in like other elements of pop culture, right? And so like you'll be watching a series. I'm sure I was watching some series on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something, and someone said something about yada yada yada. Oh, he must be an anime fan, or she's probably an anime fan, or
Mhm.
whatever. Sort of a joke, a gag, but like it's starting to show up, right? And the second place you find it is how it's starting to sort of infuse into Hollywood. And we've had a lot of attempts at that before that have been, that have enjoyed varying degrees of success, we'll say. Um, but like this One Piece show that everybody really loved, and all the talk of the Avatar show, which I know isn't technically anime, but it's informed by anime. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
watching that sort of leak into the storytelling is very exciting to me. And right now, I think Hollywood, for example, is doing it with visuals. But there's a certain pace, a certain rhythm in Japanese storytelling, uh, certain issues at the fundamental level of their storytelling that aren't the same as they are in the West. And I'll be really excited to see how that how anime continues to inform the other medium around it, the other media around it.
Yeah, yeah. And, you mentioned Hollywood, we've got all these Netflix live action adaptations happening,
Yeah,
and so that's getting more people into watching anime as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it could end up doing for anime what what the Marvel movies did for comic books.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
kind of breathe some new life into the medium and give the medium itself some incentive to expand and experiment and evolve further. New eyes tend to do that. to a
Yes.
to a medium.
Yeah, 100%. I was kind of that way with One Piece. You mentioned One Piece, and I hadn't watched the anime until the live action came out, and I went, oh, okay, well, I need more of these characters. Eight
Yeah.
episodes was
Now I
not
want to
enough for me.
know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so it is really cool. It's really incredible. And I think we should, move right into jumping into Skate the Infinity.
Oh, skate on.
This is what we're here for.
Jump on it.
You are Adam, iconic character, incredible. When Skate was, when there were auditions for Skate, were you like approached for the part of Adam, or did you audition kind of like everyone else?
I got the same audition everybody else did. And I turned in, I don't know, I think I turned in an Adam, obviously, for sure. I think I may have turned in a Shadow.
Okay.
Maybe not. It's like, a guy like me, I will be 51 years of age tomorrow. So
Happy early birthday.
yes,
Happy early
thank
birthday.
you. We're just in time.
Yeah.
And now I'm old and forgetful. What the hell was I saying?
Shadow, potentially.
Yes.
Yeah,
And Adam.
a guy like me gets an audition for an anime, and maybe there'll be one role in the sides that like you can audition for. Everyone else is like, he's 14 and bright-eyed and
Mhm.
wants to be all the characters, like 90% of the characters are all like young teens. And there are certain circumstances under which a guy like me can do a thing like that, like, Ricky Nendo and Psyche K, or like a really long time ago, we did a dub of Phi Brain or Phi Brain. No one ever really told me the final answer on that one. Phi Brain, I think.
Mhm.
And that was a young character, but he also sort of had this signature low voice. So generally, I get a lot of sides, and there's not a lot that I can turn in. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I know I turned in an Adam. I think I turned in a Shadow. I don't think I bothered to send anything else in for the youngins. They got real youngins who can do that stuff.
Fair.
But yeah, I just got the audition and recorded my my take on it and sent it on into Kyle Phillips, and that was it.
Magic happened.
Yeah, and the rest was history. When we had Kyle in here, he was just gushing about you, and he was like, "I'm going to pat myself on the back,"
Stop
but
it, Kyle.
he's all
It
you're
was
welcome for
adorable.
David. Yeah,
I miss Kyle.
yeah, it was really fun to listen to him rave about your performance, and he's right. It was incredible. Like, we could not imagine another voice for this character. Were you shown a picture of Adam and you kind of like rolled with it?
There is, as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, in the sides for those of you playing along at home, are you'll get a very short piece of script to audition for a character, and when they send out sides for a show, like, it wouldn't be expedient of them to send out sides for every single character, so they'll send out like, maybe 4 to 6 characters, and they'll cast other characters from those reads as well, right? So a side is a real short piece of script with like a little explanation of the character, and that's what we got. And we did have an image of each character. There was a single image in the sides, and if I recall, the image I saw of Adam in those sides, I may be making this up, but I think it was when he's like standing in the window singing opera, and you're just seeing him from behind, and he's like doing the cross pose, and I was like, yes.
Yes.
Like, I just immediately knew exactly what I thought that character needed, so I recorded it. And I think, I think it was maybe the first line in the sides. I may be misremembering that, but what they wanted a little version of us singing some kind of opera, and Kyle and the sides did
Ooh.
not specify which one it was. So I did some absolutely ridiculous thing with that. You know, you know, just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think
Fitting.
that probably is what got Kyle's attention initially. And then the rest of it, you know, he's a little bit of a cat. You know? Think of him as a cat, and it all kind of comes together.
Yes. What was your reaction to being cast?
Delighted. It was clear that this character was like going to be off the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
I just so love to play a character like that who kind of like is obeying their own laws of physics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like they're in another universe entirely, and it's just it can be so freeing because you can make all kinds of decisions, you know, as an actor that generally the constraints of the environment and the style of the show will prevent you from doing. But when you have a character whose job is to be like camp, all camp, pure camp, then you can just swing for the fences. You can't swing hard enough, you know. It just depends on whether or not you have a director who's tasteful enough to include it all, and we did.
Yes, yes, that you did. Yes. And you know, that leads directly into my next question. We have to discuss the "Hey bitches and bros" and non-binary hoes line. It's the most iconic thing I think we've ever heard anyone ever say in an anime. Um How did you come up with that line?
Well, you know, I wish I had like an actual math equation to share with you, but you know, I've seen a lot of drag shows, and that seemed very in keeping with like how a drag show might open, and I was feeling a lot of like opening a drag show energy in that sequence. But the best thing that can happen, in my opinion, as being the actor I am, the very best thing that can happen as a session is that a line as written doesn't fit, you know, or doesn't look quite right, because that's my sandbox. And if I'm quick enough and the director is open to it, I can say something like, "Hey, I noticed that one didn't fit. Can I try a little something different and just see if you like it?" So they will, and you know, we'll try things, and sometimes the actor's idea will work. Sometimes the director will need to like tweak things, or let's try these things a little bit. You know, Kyle and I had a lot of back and forth in the studio over all of our sessions. That like that "we shall love again" that part, that was Kyle. That was all that came out of Kyle's mind. It's a beautiful moment. I don't even remember what the hell I wanted to do there, but Kyle won, and he should have. But yeah, you know, I think the original line as it was written, it was very close to you know, the original translation we'd been given, and it just like we would have had to modify it in a strange way for it to fit those flaps. And you know, we were a bit into the session there, and once we kind of got the wheels turning in an Adam session, like it was kind of all bets were off, and we just like Kyle and I were both felt like we were in a very creative place to just have fun and see what stuck, you know. And so I just did that line, I think probably predicated on some opening to a drag show I'd heard at some point. Um, and and it fit.
Yeah.
Sure did.
That's the trick. You have to have the idea, but then make it look like it was always meant to be in that mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Mhm.
was just a thing, and like, you know, we didn't think about it too hard. We just thought, well, that's as good a greeting for a crowd as what was there, so we'll leave it in. And it got all the way to broadcast, and then, you know, the heavens parted.
Sure did.
It's
Yeah.
It fit so perfectly, and I think Kyle told us what the original line was, and the original line just didn't feel like Adam, so I totally understand you guys wanting to like change it completely.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot, there it was like the thing was there were one thing that you don't find a lot of in Japanese dialogue, in Japanese text anyway, or at least I should say, not having lived in Japan or studied all Japanese text, I'll say what you often don't find in anime is like irony, uh, 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 subtext, right?
Hmm.
The characters, the lines as written coming out of the characters' faces will generally be exactly what they're thinking to some
Hmm.
extent or another. Like, they don't, the Japanese language doesn't quite fit with the kind of like, oh, what a great idea kind of sarcasm we have, or like the sort of the brand of humor that we use in our everyday communications, right? It's
Right.
just quite different. So you've got a lot of in a script like that, you'll have a lot of very literal sentences, and you know subtext is really sort of key to the entirety of the gay experience, or at least it was when I was growing up in it, right? It's all
Hmm.
subtext. You're looking for it everywhere. You're broadcasting it everywhere, right? So it seemed reasonable to take some of these very dry, sort of straightforward expressions that were originally in the script and give them a little, oh, I don't know, flair. you know, and just having, being somewhat. I imagine Adam and I being somewhat of the same generation, right?
Hmm.
And there was a particular brand of queer humorist that those generations really like adhered to, coming off of like writers like Armistead Maupin, and like coming into writers like Harvey Firestein, who just if you've never read Harvey Firestein plays, the dialogue is just like poetry. It's just beautiful. One hell of a writer. Uh, so that kind of informed that rhythm and cadence, and there was a lot of cabaret in Adam. There was a lot of Rocky Horror. There was a lot of Frankenfurter in Adam. Not so much from like not doing like a vocal impression, but just sort of the spirit, the carriage, the pride, the power that Frankenfurter carried. That we definitely injected as much of that as we could into Adam. I believe that was part of Kyle's and I, part of the original conversation that Kyle and I had in session one. And I said something like, I'm feeling a lot of Frankenfurter off this character, and Kyle's like, yes, great, great.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I love all that inspiration so much, and you can definitely see it, and with Adam, Sk8 is an original story. So there's a little
Yeah,
bit of space to play there versus like Polly in One Piece, right? Or like the coach in Haikyuu. Like there's not really a whole lot of
right.
like fluidity because there's source material for it, So did that,
Which creates a lot of expectation, right?
right.
So you can mess with expectation as a purveyor of some kind of art form. You can mess with expectation, but if you break too far away from expectation, then you get yourself into trouble.
Yes, yeah. So, was it, a little bit more fun, in this case versus voicing those other characters you've done?
Oh yeah. I mean, it
Hmm.
was just. I mean, to me, it was like. It was like vacation day. It was like being Batman. You know, it's like going into the booth and doing a character like Adam. That was my Batman, right?
Hmm.
It's probably something like I would be if I put on a mask and decided to fight crime with some kind of. I don't know where that's going. Um, the Matador. Um, but yeah, it was really empowering, and I really looked forward to every session. And even like once quarantine, we were working on that. So we were only a couple of episodes in once quarantine happened. And so, we went on hold for a week or two while what was then Funimation kind of figured out how they were going to deal with it. And then they sent us all iPads. They sent us all home recording kits with iPads and little like a USB condenser mic. And several episodes of Sk8 the Infinity were recorded by almost all of us on a kit like that.
Wow.
And even then, as like weird as all that was, it still was just like a brief opportunity to be at home for a while.
Yeah, that's really cool. And, so when you're recording, you're recording these things at home and you are kind of seeing what the scene looks like as you're recording. What was your reaction to the scene where Cherry gets whacked with the skateboard?
Oh, well, I mean, like the rest of the audience, when we previewed that, we'll generally preview a thing once before we record it. And I think there were times where Kyle and I were just sort of freewheeling it, and I was recording as I was seeing things, and we'd keep some of those things. But we did preview that, and my heart and jaw dropped, probably like everybody else who saw it. But also, knowing Adam as I did, I was not at all surprised. Was not in the least bit surprised. He's
Yeah.
he has a tendency to act out that young blue haired man.
Yes. How long do you think it takes him to do that blue hair?
I mean,
good question.
I imagine he's got a team. I imagine he's got a team of stylists for that. Otherwise, it's just like a whole bunch of Aquanet and a pick, It's like, I'll be there in a minute. I have to mess up my hair.
In the helicopter.
Sticks his head out the window, and that's how it works.
There you go,
Exactly.
yeah.
He just hangs upside down out of the helicopter for a few minutes.
While Tadashi sprays it with the
Hairstylist.
hairspray.
Tadashi, keep it steady, damn it. Oh, I look a mess.
I need that drawn. Like, I need someone who's like really good at art in the audience to draw this piece.
Yeah, hint, nudge. Artist.
Oh my goodness, that would be so funny. Oh my gosh.
Happy if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. No horseplay in the chopper.
Ooh.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, and I love that we're also like, we're getting season 2 and we're getting an OVA. What are you hoping to see in these, in the new series and stuff?
Oh man, I look forward to the surprises, Nobody knows what to expect. I have no idea, certainly I mean, if you work in the entertainment business, the last people you want to tell a secret to is the actors, right? So we don't know nothing. We won't know till we get into the session. But yeah, I'll be really interested to see where it goes. I think it's really exciting to have a title that doesn't have a source, a pre-printed source. I think that's really freeing, and I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to project my desires for that show onto the universe and let the writers receive it. I want them to do what they're doing. I'd love to see. I mean, who even knows if Adam will be back? I mean, maybe that story is told, and maybe they'll have to go on to some other fabulous adversary. But I have no idea. But there are things I'm interested in. I would like to see more of the early development of Tadashi and Inosuke's relationship. I would like to see more of the development between. We got such a little bit of Joe and Cherry and Inosuke together when they were young. I'd love to see more of that. Of course, if it's if it's little Inosuke and little Tadashi, it will probably have to be someone else's job.
Right.
Hello, friends.
Right.
We are so young and innocent.
That's Big Inosuke narrating the story is using that voice.
He was a charming child, bit of an inside voice problem. Hello, I'm Inosuke. I'm a happy child who is loved.
Big fake smile.
Are we ready to go to print with this? Here I am. I said I didn't want to plant ideas for the writers in the universe. I just wrote an episode.
You did. You did. Well,
I'm full of conflict, darlings.
We wouldn't want it any other way, and we are getting high school Joe and Cherry in the OVA. We got that little poster of it when they did the live in Okinawa, so we know we're getting high school Joe and Cherry. So I'm assuming high school Inosuke comes along with that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're telling a Joe and Cherry story, it's entirely possible that they'll be dealing with how those two developed with one another once Inosuke was out of the picture. I don't know. I'm leaving myself all kinds of outs here in case he doesn't show up. But who knows? I mean, I if Adam just came back doing exactly what he always does, I'd be thrilled again at every session. If we see him sort of, I don't know, fall toward the good side a little bit after his experience with Longa, I'd love to see that too. I'm more interested in his future than his past, really.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that is a great spot to start our audience Q&A.
Oh,
yes, we have Q&A. We have pre-screened questions and we have audience members who will be asking you some fun things.
So now, because of course I've been given full and complete administrative control of your Discord today, I had a little indicator in my thing. Okay, all right. There was a request to speak. I wasn't sure if I was the one who had to allow that. I was going to have a committee meeting about it. Good, you all got that.
You.
Never mind. Don't worry
we
about
are
me.
your team.
You
we
can
are the
deny
team.
me if you want.
All right. Well, go ahead and take it away, Jackie. You are first up in our Q&A session.
Hi, David. So my question, I guess, was kind of already asked in a way, but how does it
I'll
feel?
answer it in a different accent.
Perfect.
Oh, I love this.
So, what is it like, or how does it feel, I should say, to voice a complicated, emotionally complicated character like Adam? Like, did you have to do anything extra, especially during certain moments of the anime, to encapsulate his character a bit more?
Well, as actors, it's kind of what we're always thirsty for, is a lot of layers on the onion. And Adam is a tricky onion, right? Because there's a lot about him on the surface that is just repellent character elements that sort of decorate him, like his matador outfit and his mask and his hairspray. But once you start, and if you're just looking to experience a simple story with a simple villain who's just terrible, and you've got that. If that's what you want to find in the show, then it's there for you to find, right? But once you start peeling away those sort of obvious outer layers, you and the show gives us the tools to do this with little flashbacks and moments of sort of breaking his usual patterns of thought. You see opportunities for explanations for some of those behaviors, things that could have contributed to how this person eventually became the show that he is, you know? Like, how did Batman become Batman? How did the Joker become the Joker? They keep telling us those stories because they're the richest and most interesting parts of those of those characters. How do you decide to live your adult life doing that? Whether it's you know, like crazy stunt skating in a matador outfit, or you know, leaping across rooftops in a bat suit, or whatever else. There's so many elements to the character that contribute to sort of like how you see how he sort of adopted a metaphor and then became the metaphor, right? So for actors, that's so juicy because it's like there's a lot more to look at, and there's a lot more to sort of inform your decisions in a performance or in a read than just a simple, well, he's evil and he wants bad things for the world. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's plenty of that. And in roles like that, you can get plenty of juice and like have plenty of fun. You know, sometimes the simpler the better. Um, but yeah, Adam Inosuke slash Adam slash Inosuke, very complicated dude. And, you know, his you know, the experience that he had of being sort of repressed as a child, which the show communicates as repression against skating, but I think that skating is sort of a metaphor for like manhood, right? um and so, you know, he was denied that opportunity and he had to sort of step around it. He learned how to live his secret life so he could accommodate that desire that he had. Um, and, you know, that's a metaphor for the queer journey, if ever there was one. So, you know, we wanted to be careful with that character, and we wanted to be thoughtful about him. And as, you know, as mercurial and clownish as he can be, I always wanted it to be rooted in a very real sort of hurt. Hurt people, right? So you got to be pretty hurt to like smack your childhood friend across the face with a skateboard at like whatever 80 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So there's a lot to investigate there, and it's a very rich experience for an actor, and it's always a joy to be able to dive into a character that rich.
That's a great answer. Wow.
And so long. Oh, I do go on, don't I? Thank you for asking.
Hours.
There's a lot to Adam. We love it.
He is a lot.
That's why we love him.
Certainly. Yes.
There's a lot to love.
All right. Do we have the next? The next one.
Oh my cords are dropping everywhere. All right. Mochi is up next. Invite to speak. There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey,
So
what's up, Mochi?
Hi. I have my two questions here. Sorry, I forgot what they were.
Oh, I can remind you if you need to. I have them right here.
I have your message up.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So obviously you were Gajiel in Fairy Tale. I was
Yes.
wondering, who do you think in Fairy Tale would be friends with who in Sk8?
Would be friends with Adam, you mean?
Or anyone? Like I've seen Natsu and Reki being friends, but yeah, friends with Adam or friends with any of the Sk8 characters.
Oh boy. Wow. I mean, geez, it's been so long. I barely remember any of their names. But the icy kid who keeps taking his clothes off.
Oh, Gray.
Gray. Yes, thank you. I feel like he and Shadow would really hit it off. You know, like get together, go bowling. Natsu, I think, is too much for anybody. You know, I mean, come on.
Imagine being too much for Ricky.
Very possibly. Very possibly. Yeah, I feel like Shadow and Gray would be cool. I feel like Gajil would probably adopt Mia and like
He finally has a talking cat.
begrudgingly. Yeah, he would begrudgingly adopt Mia and just like resent it.
That's brilliant. And my second question was, who was your favorite friendship in Sk8?
Oh, I mean, Reki and Longa, you know, come on. It's so gorgeous, so delicate and so fragile and so fraught and so like loaded with you know, just all of that teen energy and emotion that like we all remember because we didn't know what to do with it. Yeah, like it's a beautiful, beautiful. I mean, there are so many lovely stories. The story of Shadow and his florist boss is lovely, and I think there's a lot of tenderness to be found in whatever's going on behind the scenes with Inosuke and Tadashi, and of course Joe and Cherry are the sitcom, right? If a
100%.
sitcom were to spring from Sk8 the Infinity, it would be Joe and Cherry at home with Joe and Cherry. Today, Joe forgets Cherry's anniversary. Oh, he's in trouble now.
And there's the laugh
tuned.
track and
I'm
everything.
laughing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maddie, same brain cell.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
It's
Reki
very
and Longa might end up on like an old CW show. Like they end up as characters in Riverdale.
Oh God.
Solving mysteries or something.
Put him in Supernatural.
I feel like Reki would be terrible at that though, because you know the whole he's
afraid of ghosts.
thing.
He would be the world's worst Ghostbuster. Yes.
He's like the Scooby
He'd
Doo.
try his best.
This whole
He would
thing.
try.
He
He would
would.
try his best.
And we
Thank
would
you
love
so
him.
much.
My
You
pleasure.
would.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you so much.
All right. So next up, I just invited Kevin to speak. You've got the
What?
floor, Kevin.
Hey, hello, and happy early birthday, and my compliments on your voice acting first off.
Why, thank you very much. And thank you very much.
You're welcome. So my question is, can you talk about the voice direction you were given?
Boy, like the direction I was given by Kyle. I mean,
yeah.
it was kind of just swing for the fences. You know what I mean? Kyle and I, you know, we work fast. Kyle and I have both been in this business a long time, so we can work really, really fast, right?
Mhm.
So it gives us a lot of time to try different things. And like, I'll give you an example. Although actually, I think technically, the session where we recorded, you remember when Adam grabs Longa and he's spinning around on the skateboard and he goes, "Oh my God, yes!" That one.
Yes,
So, like,
yes.
It was actually, as I recall, it was assistant director Christopher Wakamp who directed that session. And because by then I'd been working with Kyle a lot, I knew if I came up with something wild, I should give him a couple of different options because he was going to come back and listen to the sessions and sort of determine what he wanted to use from those sessions, right? So I did like a whole bunch of different ones. I don't remember what they all were. I remember one was just holding like a long high opera note, which was my favorite. But Kyle, you know, that was kind of the one I had my fingers crossed, you know, Chris turned in and Kyle was going to select, and he selected "Oh My God, Yes," which he was right. to do that. Once I saw it in the episode, I was like, yeah, that was what it was. So it was a lot of like Kyle and I just like sort of like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if ...
I love that.
Yeah. It's kind of like being in the writer's room for like a sketch comedy show.
More or less.
Well, thank you very much for answering my question.
My pleasure, Kevin. Thank you for asking.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Up next, we have Hannah.
Hello. I don't know if my audio is really good. Oh, okay. I guess
I
it's
can hear you
good.
pretty well.
Oh, you sound fabulous, warm and
Oh.
rich.
Stop. I'm blushing over here. Okay. So first off, I just want to say happy early birthday. Thank you for being here. And I know everyone's like gushing about like Adam, which it's a skate server, but my favorite role of yours is tattoo. I'm sorry, I have to say the whole name. Like it's mandatory.
As you should.
I appreciate that. You can never have enough
Commitment.
tattoos.
It's really
I mean,
funny.
I think
His
we
name's
all know this
hilarious.
too. He's pretty ridiculous. Like he's just pure like enthusiasm and I'm gonna win this thing, man. Screaming all the time. It's a lot of fun.
He's great. He's
I like
amazing.
that.
So my question for you though, oh my bad. Oops.
No, sorry, go ahead. I'm just musing. I'll just
No, as
go
you
unless someone
should.
stops me.
As you should though, okay? King's like icon. So my question for you is, are there any roles that you didn't feel very passionate about at first, but then you ended up being like, wow, this is amazing. Like you were really proud of it?
Wow. That's a really great question. I'd have to think really hard. Oh, well, there was one show that I just ended up loving so much, called The Royal Tutor. Does anybody remember this? We did a dub of it some years ago. A lovely dub. It was directed by Tia Ballard. And Micah was the title character, and Micah Solicitude. Solicitude. I'm so terrible at saying that. Micah. There's only one Micah, Micah. And that was like I believe that was one of the first named roles that either Damon Mills or Alejandro Saab did at Funimation. There was a lot of like new and exciting talent on that show. And, when Tia brought me in for it, at first glance, it just seemed like it was going to be very sort of silly and sort of like, sort of one-dimensional, happy, ha-ha, good times we're having. But as we continued working on it, like it became very, very touching. And like it had this really lovely sort of tone of family in it, and like brotherly love, and like affection of a mentor and his proteges, and it ended up being just a lovely story, and so much more than I thought it was going to be going in. I played the dad in that show, which should surprise no one. But it was just such a joy. One of my early times working with Tia Ballard, who remains one of my very favorite ADR directors. She's just lovely to work with, lovely to have in a room. It's lovely to be in the vicinity of Tia Ballard, no matter what she's doing. That show really got like its depth. It reached a depth that took me quite by surprise. I don't know that I've ever felt like going into a session, like there was a role, it was just like, man, this is dumb. I don't like this. I don't like this guy. Like it would be kind of crippling to me as an actor to approach a role that way, no matter what it is. I mean, even if it's like street thug number 4 who's about to punch an 80-year-old man. Like,
Street
I have
thug
to,
number 4.
yeah. Like I have to come up with reasons for that character. I have to create a depth if I'm gonna play it and go home and like sleep at night.
Fair.
You know, so like you can't, or at least I can only speak for myself. I can't really afford to be like prejudgmental about a character or a show or whether or not I think it's a good character for me, or you know what I mean? Like it's kind of my job to show up and engage all the creative muscles and give the director something they're gonna like, which then hopefully means that it's something the audiences will like. So you have to kind of approach that, you know, sort of from neutral ground at the very least. You know, you can have trouble the opposite way too. If you're walking in to play a character that you're already deeply invested in, like if it was like my favorite anime of all time and it had 9 million episodes and I've seen them all a dozen times and they're finally dubbing it now 180 years later and I get to be in the dub, like if I'm too invested in it, it can blind me to the rest of the narrative that's going on. You know what I mean? That's how I am with, like, if I have too much pre-knowledge or my own sort of feelings about, you know, my own sort of fandom about a show or a character, I have to be wary of that because I can sort of trip into my own predispositions and find myself in a place where I'm not as open to react to the line that my character just heard, to which he's reacting, or you know, react to the event that just happened in the video, in this sequence. You know what I mean? It can get a little predisposed. Plenty of actors who do like mountains of research and read the manga, watch the show again, read the manga backwards, go turn upside down, read the manga again, watch the show upside down. And there are actors who thrive with that kind of preparation and sort of commitment and predetermination. But I don't know. It's a really long answer to your question, which I now don't remember.
No, it's
but where I was
beautiful.
going with that was that my training, like my arts training, is mostly like academically in music, right? And I was a jazz and studio music major. So sort of the crux of my creative education and my creative process is rooted in improvisation, right? In jazz, we don't get sheet music, we get a lead sheet. And a lead sheet is just like one string of notes for the saxophone melody, written chord changes, A7, C9, D11, sharp, sharp 13, whatever. And you have to kind of interpret from those loose definitions. So that's where I think I work at my best, right? Sort of somewhere between, I know the tune, but I also am not married to one way of playing it. If I'm a musician in anime, I don't know. Yeah, everything to me comes back down to like musical metaphors, because that's, like I said, that's the root of my education. So yeah, I try not to go in with any expectations at all. And if I'm gonna go in with expectations, I'm willing to allow myself to do that if they're positive ones.
Thank you. You are such a genuine soul. I loved asking you this question, hearing your answer.
Oh, that was an excellent question. It's lovely to
Thank
be
you.
asked wonderful questions.
You were so great. I hope you have a great rest of the interview, and I hope to see you at a con soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe Skateboard. Tell him I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit him with it. It was just, it was a bad day.
Yeah, it's been there, done that. It's fine. He's just a little guy.
I mean, who hasn't smacked a pretty dude off a skateboard with another skateboard?
Adam's just a little
Come
guy.
on.
He's fine. But
I'm
yeah,
not
thank
even sure
you.
it's illegal anymore.
That's
It's
the
a
best
silly,
of us.
goofy
Very
mood,
fun.
right?
All right. So next up we have Jody.
Hiya.
Jody!
You have Hello. How about you, my darling? You okay?
Oh, I'm just enjoying the sweet summer air down here in the south.
It looks beautiful out there. Can we have some more of that weather, please, over here?
But if it weren't gray and misty, well, you would all go mad. You wouldn't know where you were or what to do.
True. We would probably lose our minds. I mean, we get a little bit of heat over here and we lose it. We can't function properly. So
What would you do with all that wool, Jody? Come on.
I
You have
know.
no use for it here.
I mean, I have no summer outfits. Literally, I go out into the heat and I'm forced to wear winter clothing. I don't own a single summer outfit. So
That's probably a wise choice. To be winter again in 10 minutes, right? Isn't that how it works over there?
pretty much, yeah. Literally every other day has been rain here at the moment. So yeah.
For all of time. For the
Yeah,
entire
yeah.
history of mankind.
Pretty much, yeah. That is the English weather. So I've asked you so many questions at this point. I was really trying to think about this, and I was wondering, are there any non-explicitly queer characters in any media that you've ever read or watched that you feel would be queer if the actual media was written today in a more modern age? If there was kind of that
Wow.
bravery to kind of say, yeah, they probably are queer.
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh.
Speaking of someone from your very country, I think Sherlock Holmes. I think a lot of modern, we'll say modern interpreters of Sherlock Holmes see him as very ace. Like I've seen a lot of talk about Sherlock Holmes sort of coding as ace. I think that's largely due to Benny Cumberbatch's lovely and wonderful performance.
Yeah, it came
But
straight to
I
mind when
feel
you
like,
mentioned it.
yeah, I feel like Sherlock, had some unrequited feelings, you know? Maybe maybe Moriarty was just a metaphor. You know what I mean?
Have
I
you
think you
watched
can find a
Moriarty?
lot of that.
Yeah, in Moriarty the Patriot, it's
Oh, Moriarty the Patriot.
it's
Yeah.
very I mean, I guess it's not explicit, but there's a lot of subtext in that one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're the best
Well, I
kind though
remember.
sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, for people, I think the younger set, all of you wonderful darlings, you have different needs in your metaphors than I did. You know what I mean? Like, the way things are now, there's so much visibility that the queer community has that we didn't have before. That we can have conversations, we can have arguments about it. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, you just did not speak the word. It was the love that dared not speak its name, quite literally. And so it was all subtext, and it was sort of like, I think that's probably, I may be making this up, but I feel like that's where the idea of gaydar comes from. Because it was like you'd find things on this wavelength, this signal concealed inside the other signals, right? You'd see it everywhere. And when you saw it really blatantly and like it was clear enough for even the straight people to pick up on it, God bless them. Like it was usually bad. It was usually a bad archetype. It was like a crazy psycho or a character who probably dies in chapter 1, right? Or I think you guys being like the younger set, the modern generation, I think it needs better metaphors, and I think it needs less subtext, and I think it needs to hear its sung clearer from a higher mountaintop. But for me, subtext is everywhere. I mean, it's like it's like the numbers flashing before Russell Crowe's mind before his eyes in A Beautiful Mind, where you can sort of follow and find these little codes in songs, in films, in television. Not so much in television when I was a kid. but all over the place, literature especially. And I feel like there was a lot of repressed sexuality, of course in my generation, but imagine Victorian England. I mean, imagine that
God,
that
yeah.
level of repression. I mean, a level of oppression so great that it dictated how many buttons on your bodice. You know what I mean? Like, and I think there's a lot of writing that seeks to sort of make itself known from amidst those things. It's sort of like, pulling again from your home country, Shakespeare's Dark Lady plays were about a boy. They were about a boy, and we still call them the Dark Lady plays. Or not plays, the Dark Lady sonnets. I forget the numbers. There's a number of Shakespeare's sonnets that are dedicated to the Dark Lady. They mention her in a couple of different ways, but a lot of historians think that she was an allegory for a young man with whom Shakespeare was in love. So that can be found everywhere. I think almost anywhere there's anything hidden, you can probably find something queer in it.
And that's the beauty of subtext now these days as well, because we've got these shows, this media that is very kind of straight to the point, and it is giving people that kind of open and that clarification, but it's also nice to kind of have that subtext. It's very open to interpretation for everybody, so everybody can kind of have their own part in it, I guess, if that makes sense. They can, which I really like that you can have these days, whilst not being afraid to talk about it still.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. There are circles in which that conversation still has some ice to break. I think that's clear from our political environment. You know what I mean? But it's the amount of communication about the queer experience that's just out there, available in the world now. I'm so glad. I'm so glad for the younger generations, because there. I have to say, there's something I miss about the old gay underground. In sort of a romanticized way. There's something I miss about knowing the secret spot to go that's not marked, that's behind a door that has no signage on it, and there you find yourself at home, like Dorothy coming out of the cabin into the world of color, and nowadays, because queerdom has sort of expanded so far and assumed so much more public recognition than it had back when I was a kid. I don't think that those kinds of places and that kind of sort of underground vibe would serve the younger generation very well. I think they've moved beyond a need for something like that.
Kind of find their ways, their own outlets. Yeah.
I mean, a gay club now can be literally called the Manhole, and it can have like a neon rainbow sign over the. You know what I mean? I'm talking about an actual club.
I really, really do.
But
I get what you mean.
Back in my day, it wasn't like you couldn't have that class. It had to be Jimmy's friend's bar, or we got to go to the bar on the corner. You know what I mean? It was like. There was secrecy. It was like a Da Vinci Code. And then we had the hanky code, and that screwed everything up, and everyone got confused.
No, well, thank you so much. That's the sign of a good question, though, when you could just go off and do whatever. So, no, it's lovely to talk to you as ever, and just it's so nice to have these panels where everyone can just get together, because I think I speak for a lot of people when we say it's a real highlight being able to get together with everyone. So that's really nice.
It fills me with joy. I love talking about this ridiculous character anyway. So
thank you so much.
Thank you, Jody. As always, have a beautiful. What is it? It's like 3 a.m. there, 4 a.m. there.
Just past 2 a.m. Yeah, no sleep, but hey, it's worth it.
God bless you.
Thank
I hope
you.
the sun breaks tomorrow.
I know we need some summer. We really need some summer.
Godspeed, love.
I liked
Thank
all
you.
the comments in the chat about S being that queer underground for for a lot of people.
100%.
Yeah.
100% a metaphor for that.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
100%. Strongly agree. 2 thumbs up. I can't straighten this thumb anymore. Isn't that terrible?
That's okay.
Oh
It
my
happens.
goodness.
Oh, look, it did the
Whoa!
thumbs up thing. Oh,
I forgot my iPad does
happened?
tricks. You guys. Wait, I forgot. This does something too.
What's happening?
very Adam.
Come on.
Does it do the peace sign thing?
There we go. Yay!
Yay!
This is my favorite
Amazing.
though. Oh my god, I love you guys. Oh my god, I love you guys so much. I love you. Oh my god, I love you guys so much.
I don't have any fancy tricks, but
Too bad ours
There are a
doesn't
couple
do
of
it.
gestures. Can't remember.
oh my god.
Oh
Right.
man.
Let's totally keep
Amazing.
rocking here. Our next question is from Revamped Roses. You've got
Hi.
the floor.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Bonjour.
Okay. So when I was younger, I was a choir student because I thought doing theater was too scary. So my question is, as an actor, how do you get over the fear of performing in front of others?
Well, a lot of where that feeling of anxiety comes from. And I'm not speaking here of anxiety that's rooted in like a prior trauma or a certain a trauma response. That's a different brand of anxiety. You know what I mean? But the specific anxiety that happens with something like stage fright, which is what they used to call it in the 80s. It's about breath, right? And thankfully, if you're an actor or a singer, then what you're about to do with your breath is going to create sort of a rhythmic oxygen exchange in your body. And so whether you're enunciating speech or voicing, the alto line in the choir, like your breath itself must engage in the act to perform the act, just to get the note out or the words out, right? So the breath itself can save you, the process itself. And I think we can get, and to be perfectly honest, I haven't really, this is all very old. I'm pulling on old memories here because once I kind of found my own way to navigate it, I didn't really have to deal with stage fright anymore. I feel empowered on my way into a performance now. The only time I'll feel like any sort of neuroses or like anxiety or anything is if I feel wholly unprepared, right? So I try never to be wholly unprepared. Know the if it's a play, know the lines. If it's a song, know the notes. Know the changes. But the work itself can sort of pull you out of that place if instead of focusing outward on what the audience is experiencing or what the watcher or the viewer is experiencing of the thing you're doing, and focus instead on the physical sensation of completing that circuit, turning air into verse. You know what I mean? And the actual process itself can help to sort of re-regulate your breathing, regulate your heartbeat, and put you in ideally better control of it.
Okay.
That's
Thank
the
you.
only thing that ever worked for me. I know a lot of actors have like sort of like little mind tricks and stuff like that. I like to go to the root, and at the root of anything when it comes to like artistic expression, like physical artistic expression, like singing or acting or dancing, it is about oxygen. It's about how you use oxygen and what you do with it when it exits, right? So that's it. That's all. Focus on the oxygen changing its place and that'll give you a kind of a calming heart rate in your head, you know?
Thank you.
Really
Sure.
great advice. Yeah.
That was really well explained.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I haven't been asked that question in ages and ages and ages.
Something
And
that
like I
has
never
always
really thought about how I got out of stage fright before.
Yeah. Something that has always stuck with me, a friend of mine told me, was nerves and excitement feel the same physically. So it's just
Yeah.
a matter of getting your head to agree that you're excited versus being nervous.
Well, I mean, what happens when we oxygenate, right? Power. We gain power. We gain energy in our muscles. We have all this energy ready to expend. And so anxiety is kind of putting you there already. As long as you can sort of wrangle it in and calm those breaths, use your diaphragm, support your voice, you know, all the old tricks that your choir teacher told you, Roses, I'm sure. Like those just, if it's about the breath, the in, the out of the breath, the formation of the words, the phonation of the notes, you know, then you can sort of lose yourself in the process instead of losing yourself in the perceived consequences. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
It's a great question. Thank you, Roses.
Thank you, and happy birthday.
Thank you. As long as there's cake, I'm fine with it. Like whatever happens for my birthday, there should be cake. Or barring cake,
There you
pie.
go. Treat yourself.
Yes, treat yourself.
All right.
Treat yourself 2024.
I think my cat just wants to continuously say hello. Charlie says,
Meow,
"Hi,
meow,
Jamie."
meow.
Very sweet Kit Kat.
He
Need
looks
to go away.
so unimpressed.
Go
Oh,
away.
so he's so unimpressed.
Very
He's done.
That's his face every time we like dance his little arms out, and he deals with it.
What's his
He's a
name?
good
Whatever.
His
His
name is
name, whatever.
Charlie.
Whatever.
Charlie.
Charlie. That's wonderful.
Charlie.
When we were
Oh,
when we were interviewing Rye, he actually had to stop our interview so he could take a photo of his cat being cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
You're a cat. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So we have a couple of questions that are from folks that are not able to ask. So let's see here. First off, I'm not sure if it's Ellie or Eli. I apologize. But the question is, some of the Skate Japanese production materials for Adam, published after the series broadcasted, shows that creators briefly considered a different S alias for him. What are your thoughts on this?
A different what?
Like a different S name, a different alias.
Oh. Well, geez.
Yeah,
I
didn't know
mean,
about this either.
Adam is sort of like so perfect. The progenitor, right?
Yeah.
The one half of the original gene pool. You know, it's like it's so perfect. You know, who knows if they would have. I mean, I like that his moniker is a name too, instead of Skate Man or the Blue-Haired Avenger or some ridiculous thing. Captain Camp. I would have been okay with that actually. Yeah, no, I can't imagine what other names they might have thought of. Although perhaps in the Japanese language, there's just that perfect word that means that perfect thing and has that perfect sort of flip and rhythm. It would have worked
Yeah.
beautifully. But I'm very glad that they went with Adam. And I think, it speaks a lot to sort of the, like Adam is drawing a paradigm. I mean, I really think it's a sort of a view of religion, the view that religion often takes in the oppression of the queer identity. And I think that Adam, Inosuke taking that name and sort of clinging to that sort of model, that Adam and Eve model is sort of a rebellion against that particular brand of repression. And I think that it seems, I mean, I hope it was purposeful. If it wasn't, it was quite accidentally a brilliant thing they did. But I imagine they thought about it very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing about Sk8 is accidental.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
It's
just
just
like
it's
a
a beautifully constructed story.
Yeah.
Someone did like a whole analysis of like scene to shot, kind of like back and forth on like Twitter, and it's crazy. I'll pick up things even like 3 years later that I'm like, how is this so beautifully crafted? It's like just the perfect little story.
Yeah, they did beautiful work on that show.
Yeah.
And I hope the ball keeps rolling.
I think it will.
I hope the board keeps rolling.
Yeah.
We'll keep screaming about it, so hopefully it keeps it moving.
Excellent. Excellent. Make yourselves heard. Fire!
Alrighty. Okay, so our next question comes from our server member Bubbles. Adam is known for his dramatic entrances. If you could design a way for him to dramatically drop into S, how would he do it?
I mean, he did great without me. I think anytime you have splash pots involved, that's a win. Parachuting in from a helicopter, how do you
Badass.
what do you do after that? That's my problem with it. Like, where do you go from there? I imagine the next appearance of Adam, it will be they'll have rebuilt the S course on a glacier, right? And at the head of the glacier,
that would be amazing.
they're gonna detonate the ice, right? And so a sheet of the glacier will fall into the sea, a comment on global warming. And behind the glacier that fell away and potentially killed the entire crowd, Adam appears wearing, he's dressed as the white witch from Narnia.
Hey, artist.
Oh my gosh. I know, again, artists, if you're listening,
Yeah.
Longa would really thrive.
The only way. Oh yeah,
Be vibe.
he would do it just for Longa. Yeah, I think once you've parachuted out from a chopper, probably the only place you can go from there is a man-made natural disaster. So I'm going to go with the glacial avalanche onto the crowd.
Amazing.
Clever answer.
And Adam in an all-new fit.
Of course, as he should
Silver
be.
sequins.
All the time.
A tiara.
Yes.
Yes.
A couple of Turkish delights.
Same windswept Tadashi is his stylist.
Yeah.
Hair.
Yes.
The hair has to stay the same.
Yes, it does. I'm
Clearly.
emotionally attached to that hairstyle.
It'll just be frosted. Just a little
Yes.
frosting. Little
frosted
highlights.
tips.
Frosted.
That would be showing some different eras of the characters.
Oh yes, darlings, we're bringing it back.
We will.
Oh man.
Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I love that answer. Next question we have from Matis, and that is, what do you like most about your character, Adam?
Absolute balls to the wall, brazen ass courage, boldness, absolute boldness, and I think that's incredibly admirable. Just unapologetically himself, and this creature of just camp and bright scarlet red and mayhem and fabulousness.
Yes.
I think he's sort of like I don't know, the apotheosis of a lot of like superior queens I knew in the 80s, right?
Gotcha. He's like an iconic queer tornado of a person.
Iconic queer tornado would be a great S name. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You can see it on the little screenshot with all the fruit names and you guys know what I'm talking about, right? There's like mango,
where
pineapple.
It's hairy pineapple, red herring,
Oh my god. All right.
Maybe we can get them to name the next A hurricane Inosuke, you know,
There you
Maybe.
go.
when it comes
We could
through.
start like a
We'll write
petition.
letters. Notify your
Yeah,
senators.
change.org.
We'll get something going on.
Talk to him about this.
Alrighty. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, next question we have from Darling Rhea. And it is, what was it like voicing Gajiel from Fairy Tale?
Oh, it was cool. It was like it was one of my early jobs at Funimation. So I was sort of just getting to know the place and the people and just sort of learning how to vibe in that building after having worked down
Yeah.
at ADV for a couple of years. And it was very exciting. It was a very exciting time all around that time. Tyler Walker was directing Fairy Tale at the time. And Tyler's just a delight to work. An extremely experienced director, knows just what he's doing, and it was lovely to work for him. And Gajiel is such a, he's just sort of like a cranky Han Solo sort of cat. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just kind of love it. I love a character like that. Kind of a constant sneer, Everything you're doing is stupid.
Yeah. Oddly specific, incredibly accurate. Definitely one of those.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Next question we have is from Missing. It's, what are your thoughts about Adam's personality in the show? I know we've kind of talked about this and touched on it a little bit already, but if there's anything else you might want to add, I wanted to at least put their question out there.
I mean, we've there's a lot to say on that subject, because there's
like a
so much there.
dissertation.
But I think that's what makes him such a rich and interesting character, and I think that that's what makes it possible to find whatever you need to find from that character. If what you need is a bold-faced villain, then he will give that to you. If what you need is a means by which to understand how people can sometimes find themselves in a horrible situation, behaving badly, there's plenty of that story there for you.
Yeah.
If you need a story about someone who found some sense of empowerment coming out of a house full of oppression and abuse, then that story is there for you too. That's what's so great about a character like that. And I he's a really rich, multi-layered onion. And there I'm sure there are elements of that character that speak to people in ways that I can't even imagine or think of. But people might have ways to identify with him that I can't even grok. Like, I have no context for. You know what I mean? That's the sign of great storytelling. Is what it is. It's not, that character was born to do that job before I ever got cast in it. You know what I mean? Like, that character was there to ruffle some feathers and show some colors and make people think about what they really value. He's an excellent catalyst like that. You can't have Superman without Lex Luthor.
Right.
Well, yeah.
100%.
Catalyst. I love that for him. Love that for him. All right. Excellent. Next question we have is from Ren Kian. And it is, do you have a favorite anime series or a favorite anime character?
Oh, I would be hard pressed. I mean, I think Vampire Hunter D is pretty much like the king of cool. You know what I mean? It's one of the earlier anime titles I saw that wasn't Speed Racer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That show me what anime could be when it wasn't like, here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels. he's a demon and he's gonna be chasing after something. I have to do the whole song now.
Of course,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, that really like resonated with me. The very same weekend, I saw Golgo 13, the professional, the film Golgo 13, the professional. And it was like, once again, something I hadn't seen anime do, because I'd only seen Speed Racer and Battle of the Planets on Saturday morning cartoons. So those characters really like, those are like, it's like the first, that they sort of cracked the ice for me. So they'll always be profound characters to me because of that.
Incredible.
Perfect. All right. So next up, we have Hyro. I'm going to invite you to speak. There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I have two questions. One is quick and one is silly. I'm going to start with the quick one.
Lovely.
Do you have a favorite Sk8-related gift that you've received from a fan, and what is it? And if you don't have a thing,
Well,
it could be an experience.
yeah, I don't have a thing. I have not, since quarantine, been to like any conventions. So I have been like completely apart from the whole like in-person experience of Sk8 and all the things that happened around it. Because I'm immunocompromised, I have an autoimmune disease, so I had to stay home. I'm just starting to get into that world again now, just sort of warming up toward it. It's a lot. I haven't been there in a long time. So a lot of that experience I haven't had. And I don't know if I could name like a specific thing or like a specific experience, because I've just been so insulated from it, really, and from everything except for, up until like the last year or so. But like seeing the people who I feel are family to me, my queer family, the L, the G, the B, the T, the Q, the I, the A, the pluses. Those are my people. And to see them, online, which is where I saw, most of it happening, to see the response, to see those, my tribe feeling like seen and empowered and lifted, elevated, recognized, and like celebrating that with one another, that's like, that's a better thing than any actor can really dream of, like to know that you were a part of something that made this marginalized and unseen people feel closer to the world they live in. You know what I mean? That's all it got to a point that was all I wanted to do in anime anymore. I still had to do other work because, kids gotta eat. But like, I mean, you guys know, we talked about it last time. Like once I started to see what was out there, and once I started getting obsessed with like dubbing these things myself and directing them, like, and crafting them for people to have that exact experience. The irony is, for Adam, I just showed up to play the role. It didn't. It wasn't like, Love Stage or Given, where I was at home like agonizing over writing the script and imagining like, the hoops, that you have to jump through as a director to cast a thing, and then and direct a thing, much less to put that layer of authenticity on it and take responsibility for it as a director. I'm so glad I did all that work, and I'm so glad that the people that it has illuminated are illuminated, and I hope that those dubs stand the test of time, and that maybe your children will someday need that dub of Stranger by the Shore to help them understand or that they can recommend it to a friend who could use, you know what I mean? I hope that it carries on. But far and away, the loudest, queerest thing that has happened for me in anime so far is Adam. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that it happened. I'm so glad that the people in Japan who created that show had the nerve to create it and make it what it was. And that some unsung hero over here decided, yeah, we'll dub that one this season. And that Kyle took all the chances he took on the cast. I mean, the whole cast is so good, such fine actors, fine performers in those roles, and Kyle just did a beautiful job with it. And it took many teams stateside and in Japan to like make that show a reality. And I'm just, all I had to do was show up on the day and say the words and then try some different words. And then, okay, well, maybe we'll try these different words. And then we're done, right? So like, I'm just delighted. I'm delighted that it's out there and that people still, to this day, to this moment, still feel like they can see themselves in it in some authentic and important way that maybe isn't served by a lot of other anime or anime characters,
Yeah.
That was like 9 pages of soliloquy.
So you would say that your favorite
beautiful.
experience is
I
this
know,
one
I'm like
right now?
breathtaking.
So when you guys like post this later on the internets, you can compress all of my answers down to like the one meaningful sentence that I eventually got to.
No, we're going to leave it all in its beautiful glory, David.
All of it.
All of it.
Great. Just like auto-tune it and make a song out of it.
Oh,
I'll
totally.
answer in
Yeah.
recitative.
Yeah, I'll make a bunch of clips for social media and I'll tag you and we can like auto-tune it, it'll be great.
Perfect. I'm ready to sing that song.
About the
Amazing.
Okay.
hairspray
So
song.
I have a second question, a silly one, and this is kind of inspired by yours and Adam's charisma. If you could host a game show or competition of some kind, what would it be?
Yeah.
Not a
The
skateboard
Newlywed Game.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
like a
No.
Newlywed Game, or maybe like old. It would be something very old school, which he would then have to like, liven up a little bit. Like he could do The Price is Right, but all the little games would be like skate related or debatably gay. You know what I mean?
Debatably gay.
Debatably. I don't think
Today,
anything about
it's a little
Adam is
riff on a game,
Okay, so
We're playing Pin the tail on the twink. The what? You heard what I said.
wonderful.
New party game just
Thank
dropped,
you.
guys.
I think my face hurts from laughing and smiling.
Oh, pin the tail on the twink. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Several people are typing.
I know, right?
Wonderful.
The chat's probably gonna be like, "Oh my god!"
Oh my god. But just imagine though, Adam hosting the Newlywed Game between like Reki and Longa and Joe and Cherry are like the two couples like at war, and Adam's the one hosting it. It would just
Oh my gosh. That's the next
That's
drama
new
CD,
trick right
guys.
there.
oh
We
the
wrote
next
it.
drama, right?
Huh?
That's right,
Things
everybody. We're
happen.
going to settle it with a sack race. It's not what you think it is.
Oh my lord.
Wait, I don't even remember who's next. Emery. Hold on.
No, I think it was Corey.
Oh, was it?
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. We'll just get it.
Oops.
We'll make it happen.
Debatably Gay is the name of the show.
Oh my god, I know. I'm so distracted by the debatably gay. All
That's
right.
like somebody's Twitter bio.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really does. Like a memoir. All right.
So,
Grab
can you
memory.
guys see me okay? It's getting dark out here, but I put light on my pad.
Yeah,
can
no,
still.
it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Am I fading into
Mhm.
blackness?
No, come
I mean, you
back.
Little
can
bit.
theatrically
No,
attend
it's
if
like
you want to.
impressive. I was like, the quality of
Hey.
your camera is like
Yeah.
A1.
Hey,
For real.
yay, Apple should have invested. Oh well,
Oh well.
too late. Hello, Emery.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, quick comments. I loved your role as Mutsumi in Kiss Him Not Me.
Another Tia Ballard show.
Oh
Love
my-
her. Love her. Love her.
Oh my, like, he's perfect. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so crazy that, like, you have played somebody who is one of the most respectful anime boys, and then you played Adam, who is one of the most disrespectful anime guys.
Yes. Yes. Well, you know, you never know what hat you're gonna have to put on that day when you run into the studio. I was shocked by Tia casting me as that character in Kiss Him Not Me, only because, you know, like I said earlier, a guy like me does not play the high school kids usually. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you said that he was the first character to come to mind. I'm like,
right. Yeah, he was one of those, and I did, you know, Tia did have to occasionally like stop me and go, we need to pitch him up just a little bit because I eventually slide down. But it was absolutely lovely to play that role. Very unlike roles that I usually played, and that was a gift of Tia's. Was putting actors in things that was a little like outside of their usual box. You know,
she has vision.
Yeah, Tia is a magical creature. Tia is a creature made of magic. We share a birthday. It's Tia's birthday tomorrow too. We're birthday twins.
Hey.
So that might be why I feel so spiritually connected to Miss Ballard. But yeah, that was a joy. We worked on that show, and then immediately after that, we did The Royal Tutor, which I mentioned earlier.
Loved your
It's just
character in the Royal Tutor.
absolute favorite. Thank you. Just adored that show. So sweet. Both of those shows so sweet. And who better on earth than Tia Ballard to drive that boat? You know what I
Round
mean?
of applause for Tia and David.
Yeah, Tia. I'm clapping just for Tia. Thank you for bringing that up, Emery. I really do enjoy that show, and I you know, I thought it deserved some viewership when it came out, but it was a little quiet compared to the rest of what it was released around it, I suppose.
I
Attack
think
on something.
On something.
something, fighting something.
I think the only reason I knew about the Royal Tutor was because someone posted clips on TikTok, like whenever he first meets all the princes.
Adorable, right?
I loved it.
So adorable.
I think, yeah, like the Royal Tutor and Kiss Him Not Me, they're animes that I could just like, keep going back to.
Yeah.
The stakes are so like, yeah, it's comfortable, it's funny. They made me like
agree.
Up.
I agree. I think that kind of storytelling is very important. You know what I mean? I think it's like it's great to have stuff like Grave of the Fireflies, but also
no, it's not. No.
Oh,
But yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, like there's a real function served by those light shows where like there's conflict, but it's not like planets are going to explode conflict, and you know you're just watching these characters you're watching characters come to terms with themselves. That's what really any storytelling ultimately serves, is you're watching a living creature come to understand itself in some new way, right? Broadly speaking, any narrative is going to cover that ground. So
character writing is great.
Yeah, and those were just beautifully assembled little shows. We did another one, it was a couple of years ago, called Tada Never Falls in Love. And that was something that I directed in my Sentai, you know, when I was directing for Sentai. And Jesse James Greeley, Sarah Wiedenheft, Ian Sinclair, had some great cast in that show. And it was kind of one of those. It's sort of, day in the life, slice of life, we call it. Light romance, no heart attacks, no lasers, slicing people in half, no dragons, no sword fights. Just like a simple tale of people learning more about themselves and one another. And I think that's beautiful narrative territory to tread.
It's a gift.
So thank you for bringing it up.
Like, there's a whole bunch of anime that have really intense storylines, but it's the simple, funny ones that, I guess, bring me back to whenever I was younger, I would watch just like the simple cartoons that didn't have like a storyline, like SpongeBob and stuff like that.
Right. Episodic storytelling where like you didn't have to follow from moment to moment, like you could just sort of check in on these characters whenever. It's like what all sitcoms were when I was a kid. It was really like, it was shows like 24 and like The Sopranos and like Breaking Bad, kind of like crafted episodic storytelling into this moment to moment, one moment following another sort of linear story. But like, I grew up watching Three's Company, and like it didn't matter what order you watch those episodes. Makes no difference.
I love Three's Company.
Yes.
Oh, that was my sitcom bread and butter when I was a kid. I don't know why. I loved it so much. Maybe because, of the sort of the gay context of Jack Tripper. I latched onto that real fast. But yeah, I don't recommend it. Don't go looking for Three's Company, everybody.
It didn't age well.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you'd find it as entertaining as I did when I was 6.
Yeah, it wasn't until I was like in high school whenever I really started to watch more anime. So to be able to come back to a really light anime just brings me back to whenever I watched more cartoons.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Two beautiful examples of those. Thank you so much for mentioning them.
And yeah, I had a question. It's kind of hard to ask because like if it's not broke, don't fix it. But like following Adam's new views on skateboarding, like he had the whole skating as a ritual of love. But after episode 12, that could be looked at differently now. Maybe he goes back to the drawing board,
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, what sort of like aesthetic changes could you see him potentially making to his brand, like his persona? Because he did, change style in the last episode.
Yeah, he had that final boss fit on that episode. Yeah. The exposed back. It looked like something Jennifer Lopez wore to the Oscars. You know what I mean?
Adam at the Met Gala.
Yeah. I was gonna say if someone wears that to the Met.
He shows up. Oh, no, I have an opening. Right after this, I have to get right to an art opening. What's next? I mean, if he shows up, he'll have to have a new fit. I mean, I think the universe is going to dictate that he's going to have some kind of a new fit. What could it possibly be? I mean, I could never have come up with Matador. I would never have thought that. I barely even know what they were referencing with that last outfit. I call it the Crypt Keeper dress.
Yeah, it's like the Grim Reaper. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Morticia Adams' corpse.
You need to write down all of these style names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's recording. It's all good.
He's doing sort of a Jack Skellington, Morticia Adams thing now. I don't know.
Corpse Bride.
The next fit, I don't know. I think like it'd be fun to have him do something like 50s bikerish, like one of the T-Birds from Grease or like the Fonz. So you could do a big like JoJo curl.
Hey, he flies in. Hey.
Or, it would just have to be something strongly thematic. I think I've said before, I think you could put Adam in any of the dresses that Cher wore to the Oscars. Any one of them. and you can make a whole season out of it.
Oh
I
my
think
goodness.
so. I hope Bob Mackie designs the next outfit. I guess that's what I'd say.
I hope he idolizes Cher. I mean, for
Right
real.
on.
But I think like if for me, if it were me to make the choice, I would say Adam should show up in like Tom of Finland, biker leather sort of ensemble.
That's a look.
Straight up.
Referencing Tom of Finland, yes, an old queer icon.
Perfect.
That's worth Googling.
Write that down. Write that down. What if
Yeah.
like he stole a piece of jewelry from each of his aunts and embellished it onto his costume?
Oh, vindictive. I like it.
Wow. Yeah, that would be a sweet little vengeance, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or just a nun. I think Adam just showed up dressed as a nun. That would be the way. That would be the way to piss off as many people as possible.
Thing is, it wouldn't surprise me. Like none of this would surprise me at all whatsoever.
Right. No,
No.
exactly. That's the beauty of a character like this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He could easily show up dressed as a nun. That could happen. Who's to say it can't? Not me.
Agreed.
So I'm going for nun, Emery. I'm voting for nun.
Finally.
Love that.
Calls
We'll
it
call
designed.
him Sister Mary Sunshine.
But the S in sister has to be the S symbol.
Ooh. Yeah, there's like a badge add-on.
Perfect.
Yeah. Or like
Perfect.
those like S's we used to draw, like us millennials used to draw those weird S's in the notebooks.
Chain
You know?
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chain looking ones. Mm-hmm. My
A
God.
Reki rebrand. Reki's like, let me rebrand S.
Yep.
I dig all of this. I love it. Thank you, Emery, for steering this idea meeting.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I got. I got some cursed images now.
We love it.
Excellent.
I'm imagining some.
My work here is done.
And
In
scene.
nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
And also with you.
There we go. Someone had
Oh
the
my God.
education. That's
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Emery.
That's all. And happy birthday. You're finally old enough to drink. Yeah.
Yes! I'm finally old enough not to drink.
Old enough to get the drink for free.
What a mood.
It's very freeing.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Emery.
Peace out.
Peace.
So, all right.
Hello?
Hello there.
Hello, guys. Corey Muru here. I'm gonna make this a bit short. Let's see if I can find my question real quick. I gotta say, I love Adam. Adam's like one of my favorite characters from Sk8. I gotta thank Jovi for like introducing me to the anime. I
I
think
forget
Adam's
what number of times I had seen the anime by the time we had watched the anime, because it's over 10 times I've seen it. So
yes. So here's my question to you, David. Could you provide us your favorite Adam quote from the script, from any episode?
Oh God. It's it's something from all of the when he's announcing who's going to compete. It's so hard to remember these guys, because like we say them once.
Mhm. Yeah.
and then 3 years later, someone's like, "Do you remember that line?" Oh God.
Like, no.
It's like all of the whole speech when he's like reaching into the hat. We're finally gonna find out who the real top is. All that, and then like
So good.
it's like, I hope it's me. Oh my God, I hope it's me. And like and the winner is whatever. Like that whole speech kind of came from some unrecognizable, invisible place of creativity that Kyle and I channeled that day.
Oh my god.
And I felt like it was all just sort of patter. I mean, it was all just sort of, bullshit. It's all just
Perfect.
me being Adam. And, I'm reaching into the hat. And, oh my god, it's just a lot of sort of campy ridiculousness. But it was so, I thought, so communicative about his character and his hangups, and he was being very honest about it, like being very honest about his fangirling over Longa, and like I don't get to skate against him. Well, perfect. Like I thought that was very illuminating, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that stayed. But I'm trying to think. I mean, I think. There's how do you top the bitches and bros and non-binary hoes? Where do you go from there? I don't know. I mean, that line. Kyle and I had a good laugh when we recorded. We're like, "That's great. That's never gonna get through the censors," and it did. But like we had no idea how mobilizing that was going to be. So in retrospect, that line, just because of the effect that rang out from it, like ripples in a pond, it just sort of it had a large and it had an impact. It had an impact on fans. It had an impact on my industry. It had an impact on show selections for seasons following it. It had, it had an impact. So what can I say but that? All the rest of it was just us sort of playing games and just trying to be true to the character by being as ridiculous as possible.
Oh yeah, that's what I like about him so much. He's just extra. He's hilarious.
He's
I'm looking
triple extra.
Yes, exactly. So I'm looking forward to see what they'll do with him in season 2 and possibly the OVA too that's coming out. I'm not sure if the OVA is. I know it's been announced recently, but I'm not sure if it's like they announced like a release date. I think maybe the OVA is coming out this summer or.
If we had a release date, we would have been screaming about it in the Discord the moment it dropped.
Keep on going.
We would not have been quiet about it at all.
Yeah. So far, all we got is promises.
Yeah.
We'll see. Your mouth to God's ears is all I can say.
Oh yeah. Well, that's all I have for today. That's
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad Jovi was your gateway drug.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Corey. All right. Well, Jovi, you and I are the last up here.
I got a quick one, but maybe you'll see.
You guys keep saying quick. It's
I think it's quick. I can list off what I can say in this answer and what?
Your questions are quick. I just don't shut up.
Answers are long, but that's okay because we're here for you. So your answers can be as long as you want them to be.
Literally why we're here. Yep.
I'll try to answer this one in one word, whatever it is.
Good luck.
Okay, favorite musical.
We'll give you a couple words.
I'm a Les Miserables kid.
Okay.
I'm a Les Miserables
Really?
kid. That came out when I was in high school, and I wanted to be Jean Valjean for the rest of my life. So, Les Miserables was my show. And there's another one called Falsettos, which was originally 2 shows called March of the Falsettos and Falsetto Land. They were written by William Finn with 2 N's. And a couple of years later, Finn sort of smashed them together into Act 1 and Act 2 and called the whole show Falsettos. And it's one of many pieces of theater that came out of that time period that dealt with gay men living with AIDS. This one is a musical. It's some of the cleverest songwriting composition that you've heard since Sondheim. William Finn, amazing composer. And it's like when I saw that musical, that changed me. That one changed me and made me start to realize the real power of theater. So falsettos.
Okay.
And or Les Miserables.
Have you ever heard of
not
Fun
one word.
Home? Have you ever heard of Fun Home, that musical?
I have heard about that. I've heard a lot of singers adding songs from it to their book, but I have not seen the show. I'm not, I'm sort of with theater, I'm the same as I am with anime. Like, my joy doesn't come from watching it. My joy comes from participating in it.
I see. Yeah, I get you. I just
So,
saw
like-
Wicked recently. I had never seen it yet.
Yeah, quite the spectacle.
Well, it's like fun seeing all the stuff move on the stage and like how mechanical it is. I think a lot of them are more digital nowadays. And so or at least the popular ones are more digital screens that they're using. So it's fun to see like this is the traditional like pulling sets in, pulling sets out.
There's something really, really magical about a practical set, right?
Yes.
I mean, when Les Mis came out, they had to build the barricade, the barricade of the French Revolution. They had to build the barricade on the stage, and it was a feat of engineering at the time. Then the same composers released a show called Miss Saigon, where a helicopter flies in from The Fly.
Yeah.
They brought a helicopter in.
Wow.
It's the musical about a helicopter. The helicopter was Miss Saigon. I don't know.
The whole
That's
time.
But it's really cool to see practical solutions. I think that's why horror movies have always had such a sort of like specialized appeal to a fandom. You know what I mean? Because it's like those practical effects. When you go back and watch that old like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and old like Friday the 13th and that stuff, those practical solutions were, I think, what really turned people on. And now, it's all painted on a computer screen and it just sort of loses its juice, What are you gonna do?
Well, thank you. I like the chat. The chat is like, I love the gay theater talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of overlap.
I was quite the theater queen in all the way through my youth, high school, college, and then I was a music major, jazz major, so I had no time for theater for quite some time, and then for some years playing in bands and stuff like that afterward. But then I got back into the theater again, and it really is like an artistic home for me, and most especially Shakespeare. Like my heart beats for Billy Shakes, and like there's an experience you can have doing his plays that like no other play really can give you. It's just like the most masterful wordsmith who ever walked the earth. And like we're still discovering things in the tricks and the means and the methods that he used to assemble those beautiful lines of verse. Like we still haven't figured all of it out. It's only been 500 years, you know what I mean? Just so extraordinary. And I will do theater again. I almost did a little while ago. So it was maybe a year or so ago. I was going to go back down to Houston to do another play, but just the way scheduling and things worked out, I wasn't able to go do it. Broke my heart, but I will do theater again. The day will come and my soul will bear no more delay. Not today, but maybe tomorrow. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll put it
Can't
out
wait
there.
to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, two more questions, and these are my questions. Okay, first being, if Adam were in a circus, what would his act be? You can
He
also
would
say
be
his
the
role.
ringmaster.
Okay, yeah.
He would be the ringmaster. I mean, please. He would be the
He's kind of like
ringmaster,
trained
and
about it already.
he would be the ringmaster and all the acts. Like it would be some twisted version of Cirque du Soleil. And Adam would be everyone.
That's amazing.
Cirque
that's
du
cool.
Sk8.
Yes, there
No,
we go.
maybe he would
Okay.
be.
Sk8. Yes.
I know we've seen him as
Yeah,
the
there you
clown
go.
at the end of the episode in the mud.
Oh.
Oh, wah, wah.
Oh. Are we
Perfect.
coming in hot towards the end here? Oh my god. All
Oh
right.
man.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, he
Either
basically
that
does
or
already.
clearly a trapeze artist. I mean,
Yes.
trapeze artist is easy and go to, but I think he'd do everything without a net.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of boldness, one of
Yeah.
your favorite things about him. Mm-hmm. All right.
Courage, baby.
Exactly. All right. Last but certainly not
Is it
least.
the last question? It's the last question?
Yeah, it
It
is.
is.
It's the
Dear
last
God, it's high
question.
stakes. It's high stakes. I better answer it
Oh
good.
my god. No pressure. Okay. So, last question is, how did you feel the first time you saw and heard your Adam on screen?
I thought, is he too gay?
You did not.
But have I gone too far? And then immediately, no.
Never.
Oh.
No, it was joyous. I mean, we get a real good sense of it when we're in the studio because we preview the thing, we watch the line, we record the line with the video playing, and then they place it, and the director and engineer play it back for themselves to make sure it fits properly, but we can see it because we're in the studio with them. So that's kind of how I see all of the things. I don't think I watched like actual episodes until a good deal later. But of course, by then clips were flying all over YouTube.
Mhm.
So I got to see a lot of the development of the show through like people's, TikTok freakouts, which was great. That's like,
Yeah.
that was a great way for me to experience because I could immediately see like the moments of the show that people were really sort of latching onto and
Yeah.
really were resonating with them. So that was a lovely way for me to absorb that experience, but it wasn't, and I was really glad for it. I was really glad that, like I said before, like there was a large team of artists and creators over in Japan who gave life to a character with that brand of boldness, and that a counterpart organization of people in the United States decided that it was worthy of a dub, decided that it was worthy of a quality dub, and decided to fill it with the cast and crew that they did. So all of those things, every stop on that train, every bit of it is a miracle. It's really hard to get queer content through in Japan. It's getting a little better these days, but queer content is still like, it's still very sensitive for people.
Yeah.
And so it's tough to I mean, you can't really rely on them to bring you an authentic first person queer experience because their audience over there isn't as ready for it as we are. I don't think. You know what I mean? I mean, I think there's plenty of queer community over in Japan, and they need to be seen, and they need to be heard, and they need to hear a song of themselves in their entertainment. But they're, sort of in that particular respect, socially, I'd say they're behind us a decade or two. So you can go too far too soon. I mean, something like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, when it came out, like early 2000s, we were just ready for that. We were just ready because we'd had like Will and Grace and The Ellen Show. And so like we were sort of primed to welcome those stylish gentlemen into our home and watch them do their thing and not just think, oh, it's that gay show. I can't watch that. That's the gay show, you know? But like to mark something clearly as queer in Japan can create problems. That's what happened with Yuri on Ice. They couldn't, Yuri on Ice, as important as it was in the development of both the queer social conscience in Japan, but also the development of queer representation in media from Japan. It was a breakthrough. But they pulled every punch, That did they kiss? Didn't they kiss? No one really knows. Did they have intimacy? The show gives you an argument, gives you a debatable response, right? The camera cuts away, the camera's far away. They didn't kiss, they were just hugging. Their cheeks were close, that's all. You know what I mean? It's like little obfuscations. But they had to do that because the Japanese audience wasn't ready for a brazenly queer, self-identifying show. And also, if it had been that, it would not have been able to be played in a primetime TV slot over there, right? So a very important show, and a lot of good came after it. Stuff like, so what I call like the more enhanced, the higher level of queer storytelling that we get from like your Blue Links stuff, Stranger by the Shore, Kase-sana Morning Glories, Bloom Into You, Given. I think those shows are a direct result of what the providers of this entertainment saw happening in Japan. But Japan's not quite where we are in its broader public recognition of queer people. So to see something like this come out of there, and to be able to utilize it to speak so directly to so many who generally don't get spoken to over there or over here. It's like 100 miracles right in a row. It's like dominoes of miracles, miracle after miracle.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get more of it, so it's going to be
So
so incredible. And for it to be original too, they can really they could really turn it into a BL if they wanted to, honestly. Like because season one, season one is a BL masquerading as a sports anime, whereas season 2 they could go all in,
Yeah.
Oh man, I hope so.
Yeah. I don't know.
We're down.
I think what they'll probably do is they'll just tease you more with it.
Oh, we're going to be just permanently tortured. They know exactly what they're doing, and it's an amazing thing to watch them do so.
This is what happens. Like every show back in my youth, like the best example I can think of is a show very few people remember anymore. It's called Moonlighting, and it was where we all met Bruce Willis. It's the first thing Bruce Willis did that really had recognition, and it was Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd, and they were like a crime-solving private detective duo, and they had such electric chemistry between the two of them. And then after 4 or 5 seasons, they finally hooked up, and then the show had nowhere to go, and it was over. So you gotta, if you're in storytelling, you either have to deliver that carrot or you have to dangle the carrot forever.
Yep.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did
There'll
the
be
Yuri on
plenty
Ice.
more adventures.
Yeah, well, they did the Yuri on Ice style hug at the end of season or the end of episode 12 with Longa leaping at Reki, but
I remember seeing those comparison memes next to each other before I even saw that episode.
Yeah.
That's actually probably how I found this anime.
I think that may have been a purposeful reference. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you know what? That's actually a really good example of that sort of code that I was talking about from when I was a kid. It's like those little codes, like the people who know Yuri on Ice are going to see that frame, they're going to see that body motion, and they're going to recognize that. And the creators probably know that too, right? So like that little bit of reference, that little frame from a little reference to that Yuri on Ice hug, to those of us who watched Yuri on Ice and we're just like, finally, like we're going to recognize it. And that's a little Easter egg in there for us, those of us who are looking for that, for signs of that, right?
Yeah.
That's very much like the sort of, you know, the sort of subtextual hidden queerness that I remember from, you know, my repressed youth. That's how we tip it. Little signals, throw little flags. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, a very purposeful flag.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That was the last question. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Thank you
Ah.
so much, David, for taking time to talk with us tonight. This was so much fun.
This was
It
wonderful.
has been my
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure. Thank you all for having me. Thank you for continuing to be fans of this show. Thank you for supporting it. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting all of us, you know, who worked
Yeah.
on it.
Of course.
And, you know, thank you for providing a home for these wayward souls who just love Sk8 and don't know what to do about it. I am with you, brothers
Oh,
and
we all just
sisters.
scream.
Yes. Yes. That's what we are here for. And happiest of birthdays to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
We
Have a
should
beautiful day
we'll have the mods sing
tomorrow.
happy birthday to
Birthday
you.
to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday to
birthday
you.
to you.
Happy birthday, dear
Dear
David.
David.
Happy
Happy
birthday to
birthday to
you.
you. We shall love
Beautiful.
again.
Yes. The
Yay!
new tag. The new tag for that song.
Cool.
Well,
Well,
guys,
and
thank you so much for having me. Thank you so
of
very much.
course.
It's a joy. It's
Yeah.
always a joy.
Yeah, it was
Thank you,
fantastic.
everybody, for tuning in, viewing, being here, participating with your questions, making me feel feelings.
We love you, David.
Yes, we do. We love you. And thank you to the audience for tuning in and for being patient with us through our struggles at first. And we greatly appreciate you.
Bless you all. You are all my children.
Good night,
Yes,
good morning,
we are.
good evening.
Uncle David.
Gay uncle to an entire fandom. I love it. I love it. It's about time.
Perfect.
Well, my dears, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Have a beautiful
welcome.
night.
You too.
Happy birthday
Cheers,
again.
everybody. I shall make a grand
Cheers.
exit. Just imagine flash pots and a chopper.
Yes, exactly. With fireworks.
Oh, we did the.
Yay!
Yay!